This is Talkin' Mule Deer with your hosts Steve Belinda and Jody Stemler. Talkin' Mule Deer takes you on a journey to learn more about the Mule Deer Foundation, mule deer and black-tailed deer biology and management, tips and tactics for hunting, conservation issues, and even features some of our corporate and celebrity partners. Now, let's start talking mule deer. This is Jody Stemler. We are at the 2019 Western Hunting and Conservation Expo.
And I'm Steve Belinda.
And we have a great guest here with us today. We've got Brooks Hansen with Camp Chef, which is based here in Logan, Utah. They're also a great supporter of the outdoor industry in general and make incredible products. So, Brooks, thank you.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. This is an interesting and intriguing show. I always enjoy coming down. There's just so much to see. But the important part is what's done for conservation here. And we always like to help and support and see what we can do because on the end, everybody that comes to the show is our consumers, and we want them to go out and have fun in the field and then have even more fun at home cooking it. So
absolutely. Yeah. Now, you guys donate a lot of product to the general raffle here, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, if you head over to the silent auction area, there's lots of products that you can bid on, and hopefully all those bids get driven up high, so all that money can go back to conservation and help out great organizations like this. So yeah, there's a couple pellet grills over there. There's some backpacking stoves and some camp ovens and just a bunch of product that we donate here to help build what was being built.
So we want to talk about the products, but first let's hear a little bit about you, Brooks Hansen.
About me? Well,
you live in Utah.
I do live in Utah.
But you're a big mule deer hunter, and that's kind of right.
When you live in Utah and you grow up on a farm, you have to hunt mule deer. It's just
and you get those alfalfa-fed mule deer, so they're
nice
and tender too.
So true, but we never had the alfalfa field or deer down in our fields. We had a few in the cornfields at like late year, like they'd moved down when the snow would come. Until like when I was growing up, we didn't have any of that until about maybe 5-6 years ago. It seems like a lot of the deer were kind of pushing down into the lower lands, and they were out eating in the alfalfa fields. But most of the mule deer hunting that I did growing up was on horseback. We had a special spot that was our family spot, and we would either pack in the night before, or we would camp at the trailhead, and then get up at 3-4 in the morning, and we'd ride 6 to 8 miles in on horseback to get set up on the ridge that we always.
Do you still go back in there to hunt?
I do. We do. Yeah. I'd say the last 3 years we haven't been in it as often. Might only make it in there once or twice. We used to go up and spend pretty much the whole week. We wouldn't spend the whole week in there, but we would hunt it pretty much for the whole week.
Cool.
So yeah, we were chasing the high mountain mule deer in the high alpine areas, and I have a lot of good memories of chasing mule deer in
where was that? I mean, I know here in Utah.
Yeah, it was in northern Utah, so Logan, Utah.
Oh yeah.
I grew up in Smithfield, Utah.
Okay.
On a dairy farm there, and we would go up Logan Canyon. Mm-hmm. And up that canyon, we had a place that we'd always go hunt, and that's where it was.
Now, isn't that where they've had some real hard winters in the past 10, where they've actually had to feed some deer down there?
Yeah, they feed a lot of deer down there. In fact, the MDF has done a great job. And
how's it looking this year?
This year has actually been pretty good. I think we're going to have a harder winter this year than we had last year. Last year we got not near the amount of snow. 2 years ago was a really harsh winter. You could walk the winter range and count a lot of dead yearlings.
Yeah.
Which was really frustrating as somebody that enjoys to get out and hunt. You hate to see that. That was 2 years ago. Last year in the winter of 2018 was a pretty good mild winter. So there wasn't a lot of snow on the benches. So the deer did fairly well. This year,
there's a lot of snow.
There's a lot of snow. We've got upwards of 3 to 4 feet on the benches. It's forcing the deer down low, but I've seen a really healthy deer population on our foothills.
Oh, good.
That's really good.
So you've been hunting that same area now for quite a long time. I know there's been some changes in the way Utah's managed their mule deer and their bucks. So what are the changes you've seen? Is it positive, negative?
So when I grew up hunting, there's I'd say it's positive. I'm starting to see a lot more deer, and I'm just over the years watching how just the allocation of tags was kind of distributed. That's a general unit, and it's now a general draw, where you used to could just go buy a tag right over the counter, and it didn't matter how many. It was just an over-the-counter hunt. You also could hunt all 3 weapons. You could hunt with archery equipment, or you could hunt with a muzzleloader. You could hunt with a rifle, and you could only kill 1 deer. I remember when it was you could kill 3 bucks a year, and hunt one with each. You had a tag for each weapon, and you could kill 3. That's when I was really young. I remember my dad, we'd go out and archery hunt, and he had an archery tag, and go out in the muzzleloader hunt, and he had a muzzleloader tag. Go out in the rifle hunt, and he had a rifle tag. And then they limited it to, I can't remember what year it was, but you could hunt all 3, but you could only harvest 1 buck deer. And then shortly after that, it was you had to pick your weapon.
Right.
So you had to pick if you were going to hunt with a rifle, with archery tackle, or with a muzzleloader. And you just basically had to say, all right, here's my fall. Which weapon do I want to use this year? And then shortly after that, they developed to which I really enjoy. It's the dedicated hunter program in the state of Utah, which allows a hunter to apply for that dedicated hunter tag. You can hunt all 3 weapons, but you can only harvest 1 buck or 2 buck deer in a 3-year period. And it's when you draw that tag, it lasts for 3 years. And you can hunt all 3 weapons, but only kill 2 buck deer within that 3-year period.
Okay.
But the caveat to that is you also have to give back to conservation. So you have to put in service hours. So in order to be part of that, once you draw the tag, which it's a pretty much in our area about 100% draw rate for that general dedicated hunter tag. You've then got to put in 16 hours of community service towards conservation. You work with the Division of Wildlife. They have several projects, whether it's putting in guzzlers, whether it's repairing fences, whether it's mapping weeds, and there's a lot of different projects, different wildlife refuges that you can go work at and just put in your volunteer hours. There's a lot of different things you can do. So cool. You put in 16 hours the first year, 8 hours the next year, and then 8 hours the next year. It's a total of 32 hours in a 3-year period.
You probably find yourself giving a lot more than those 32 mandatory hours.
Yes, especially working in the outdoor industry.
Yep,
I love to be out and be involved, and anything that we can do to help our sport, so to speak, I'm gonna do it.
Right. So you're a Utah boy, and now you work for a Utah company, Camp Chef.
Now, I remember my family had we've talked about this. We had a Camp Chef, the double burner camp stove, not the tabletop, the large size propane tank. When I was a kid, my parents still have that and absolutely love it. And your product line, you continue to have those. You're improving on those, but you're adding new things like your pellet grill. So tell me a little bit about some of your cool new products.
So Camp Chef's been around for almost 30 years. We were founded in Logan, Utah, on the concept that there had to be a better way. So the previous owner of our company, he has now retired and sold the company 2 years ago, but we're still operating as if he was still there every day. He went and had to feed about 35 Boy Scouts, and they were hungry, and they were probably driving him crazy. And he couldn't cook the food fast enough on was like a small suitcase, little gas stove. Tabletop stove. And he thought, well, this is ridiculous. There's got to be a better way. And so he started looking into options, and he couldn't find any. So he said, fine, I'll build my own. And that's what come from that was our original Pro 60 2-burner stove, which is a heavy steel stove with
I think we probably got ours 30 years
probably
ago. So
30,000 BTU burners on
I just got mine a few years ago, and that's what I use now for the main stove.
So this is funny. My father's original 2-burner stove that he got 28 years ago is one of the originals. Still has it, and it still burns today. In fact, I brought it into work just so we could kind of mess around with it. And
look at our roots.
And it's a really good thing because the products were built to last and last forever. And maybe that's kind of a bad thing because then we don't sell as many, right? So
well, you always need something else, and that's one of the cool things that I've seen you guys doing recently as well. Is it's not just the 2-burner stove or the 3-burner, but there's attachments and things that you can put on. So
they're 100% modular. If you got your stove, you got your heat source. So now you can start to accessorize. Everybody likes accessorize.
Yeah, so I do the skillet.
I like to accessorize.
I do the skillet on one half to do breakfast and other stuff, and then do the burner on the other side. The big pot of coffee.
These are like pizza ovens.
Oh, I've seen them, but I don't, that. I got to rough it a little bit while I'm out there.
Why? Why?
Yeah, so whether you're boiling a pot of corn, you're canning in the fall, you're doing a big pancake breakfast like you mentioned, boiling a pot of coffee, or maybe the grill box. The grill box is a really popular accessory because now you can have a flame-broiled burger or steaks or chicken, pork chops, whatever it may be, while you're at camp. So, Camp Chef was a staple to our hunting camp growing up. And it's really something that you just, whether we went camping or hunting, if we were in the RV or a tent, we had to have good cookware, and that's what we used.
Now,
Well,
as an employee, you get to product test all this stuff, right? You're out in the parking lot, you're out there, you know.
That's a key component.
Tailgate.
That's a key component. So
burn restrictions that we have now, having the ability to do a grill of that nature or something like that with your same camp stove, that's a great thing for hunters and people that are going up into these areas that they can't start a fire, what they were used to do for campfires to cook their meat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When there's burn restrictions in the drier climates and the drier areas, a propane-controlled fire is usually acceptable. I'd advise you to check the local listings.
Sure.
But from there, we just branched out. I mean, our motto's the way to cook outdoors. We say anything from the back country to the back patio, we make cook gear for that. So let's say that you harvest your deer in the back country, or you harvest the deer on the gravel road out up one of your canyons or fields or wherever it is you're hunting. You gotta do something with that animal after it's harvested. You can't just look at it; nothing happens. So that's where Camp Chef really comes to play, and our line of pellet grills is just blown up and done really well. And to be honest with you, it's the best way to cook anything.
So the pellet grills, explain us how that works, because it's you can dewy grill and flame grill, but then it smokes too.
Yeah.
Right?
So something unique about our pellet grills, we do have slide and grill technology, which slides the heat diffuser plate from that fire pot. You've got pellets fed by an auger into a fire pot. So your heat source is wood, and that's where you're getting all that flavors, is that it's true wood-fired flavor, and it adds moisture to your meat, believe it or not, even though you think, heat is going to dry stuff off, but that's why all these people that smoke and do all these elaborate cooking, they're using wood. That wood flavor and fire really is what infuses that into the meat or the protein or vegetables, whatever it is you're cooking. And so, that's a wood heat source. So you can, on our models, pull the slide and grill out, which moves that heat diffuser plate that takes it from convection-style smoking to direct flame grilling. We also have a patented ash clean-out system on all of our pellet grills. And then we've also built a side burner. Basically, the burner that's on your two-burner stove has been incorporated into a sidekick that mounts to the side of your pellet grill. So now there's nothing that you can't cook with that one unit. Whether you want to smoke, bake, grill, you've got it. Whether you want to boil a pot of water or make a sauce on a skillet, maybe you want to can in the summer. That way, with one patio unit, you can do everything. So that's new. That's what we say, from the back country to the back patio, from backpacking stoves, and then a full line of cast iron.
Yeah.
I've become a fond lover of cast iron cooking. Nothing better than a 10-inch skillet. That's one of my staples.
Yeah.
So.
Except for when your family washes them with too much detergent and gets the seasoning off them, and it takes,
I've got something for you, Steve. We've got some cast iron conditioner that will bring that back.
So when I cook with it at home, or my wife cooks with it, she won't clean it anymore because she's been read the riot act about using too harsh a detergent on and brush on a patina that took years to get to that
build,
point.
Yeah. So we do make a cast iron conditioner and a cast iron cleaner.
I actually have it. I have the spray stuff that I put on, and it's great. It gets treated after every time. But what's funny is when we do use it, it sits and she won't touch it anymore. So, it's just one of those things that I guess that's what a happy marriage is about.
I was going to say that may be a bigger statement about what you need to do to help around the house, Steve.
I tend to be hard on some things.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I can be hard on and not ruin.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite piece of Camp Chef gear to take when you go up into the mountains when you're hunting?
When I'm hunting. So I like to eat well. I mean, you can tell, right?
Don't we all?
So I will, like, a staple for me would be a Pro 60 stove. So a 2-burner stove with some accessories. So a grill box and a griddle. That way I can do everything. So if I'm up in the hills at a car camping place where I can drive to, that's what I'm taking. Because the Pro 60 stove is probably a little big to be packing into a horse camp. We do have an aluminum Mountain Series stove that's got 20,000 BTU burners that's super light. I had it in the backcountry of Alaska this year. I had it the backcountry of Yellowstone on a llama trip this year, and it packs easy. And that one stove, I think we put probably 220 miles on packing and cooking for various people and friends and family. So
it makes the evenings a lot better when you can come back to a warm meal, and the mornings have a hot cup of coffee. And
well, what I've always said, and it's probably false because most things I say are false, I guess. but I firmly believe this is, you can't control the weather and you can't control the harvest. You don't know how your day is going to go because that's why it's hunting. Same goes with fishing. Any outdoor experience, you don't know if you're going to shoot that big buck or that young buck or whatever it is. You can't control that, and you don't know if it's going to rain or snow. But there's one thing that you can control, and that's how you eat. And if you don't eat good, that's your fault.
Yeah.
So my take is when you head to the backcountry.
What's your favorite recipe to make when you're
Back
out
well,
there?
eat well. My favorite recipe. Oh wow. So growing up on a farm, I'm kind of a meat and potatoes guy, which I get made fun of. I've had to really broaden my scope of food and become a culinary expert in the last 6 or 7 years as I've been a camp chef. Excuse me. I really, really enjoy a backstrap, as everybody does.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite meals to make. And then I like the tough cuts of meat, and I like to do them low and slow. I like to take shanks. That's one of my favorites. I did shanks at multiple hunting camps this year where I kept them on the bone. They were some antelope
Ossobuco and
ossobuco with a little bit of noodles and top it off with a little bit of parsley. But I take the shanks and I roll them in flour and I brown them in a skillet, get them really hot and just brown the edges, a little bit of oil, and then I drop them in a pot. I drop them in a pot with some stock, and in that pot is some carrots and some celery and some onions and some rosemary and a little bit of thyme. And I just let them do their thing on a low simmer for about 6 to 8 hours. And then you can just grab that bone with those shanks on there, pull it out on a plate of noodles, and my goodness. The bone marrow is awesome too. And those are the cuts of meat that most people throw away or grind into burger, and there's so much you can do with it.
Well, I'm guilty of that. But I like burger. We eat a lot of burgers. So
and I'm not saying burger's bad because you know what? Burger's great for tacos. It's great for chili.
Yep.
There's a need for it. Excuse me. Yeah, there's a need for burger. And I'm not discouraging that. I'm just saying there's also other things you can do.
Yeah. So do you find, granted a lot of folks that are sportsmen and outdoors people use your product. Do you find that it also has appeal to urbanites or folks that live
tailgates?
Tailgating in cities? And I can imagine, like the modular system you described, you put on a back porch in in a city somewhere, and you wouldn't have to have a big smoky grill. You got everything right there.
Absolutely. We've developed a new Versatop that's for that the urban liver, the guy that's living in New York City in a studio apartment that has a patio that's literally 2 square feet. We've got a little flat top grill that runs on a 1-pound propane tank, the green one, so it's works for that area or up to their codes at their apartment buildings. And it's also modular. You can put the other accessories on it. It's lightweight. It's little. It works for that exact demographic. So,
cool.
So yeah, I mean, we've really grown in the back patio industry, or the back patio scene. We've really
and you see your product in a lot of the major big box stores and retailers and everything else. So you're appealing to a real broad audience and consumer base. So.
Well, and it's certainly a great story. A local company, local founder. Somebody, and that's now reaching the level that you are across. It's a brand name that people recognize.
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, we try real hard. We're really proud of what we've done. So, and more importantly, it brings smiles to people's face. I mean, if you go as far back in time as we can think of, what did cavemen do? They shared a meal together. Right? Fire and food is what brought them together. And so that's really what we've tried to elaborate on is fire and food and having a good time, coming to an expo, going hunting, whatever it is, we're going to go enjoy a meal together.
Yeah. Now, you guys, you sponsor Scott Lasath, and I understand that you guys are going on a hunt coming up.
Yeah, Scott's
kind of an interesting one, not a deer hunt.
Scott's a good friend. I wouldn't give him too much credit, though. Everything he learned from me, yes. I taught him how to cook.
Right.
He's been doing it for like 30 years. I've been doing it for 5, so he learned from me. No, he's a great guy, the sporting chef. It's a TV show on the Sportsman's Channel. He's got a good social following. He's at lots of trade shows, just educating people on what to do with their wild game so it doesn't get thrown away. And there's just so many good things that you can do with fish and game to make it taste really good. And, so that's what our involvement with Scott, and he's a wild game chef that needs something to cook on, so it's a natural fit for us.
But you're going to Hawaii.
We are. We're going to go to Hawaii. Cat's out of the bag now. He's also got a TV show called Dead Meat where they cook and eat the things that most people wouldn't touch, like maybe armadillo or nutria or snakeheads or random weird things. And so he did some research. He contacted me last November and said, hey, do you want to go to Hawaii with me? I got an open spot. And I said, well, sure. I don't want to sit on a beach with you.
Can I bring my wife?
Is this a proposition, Scott?
Exactly. So yeah, he invited me, and we're going to go out and evidently they have a major infestation of feral cows. So, and the locals try to harvest as many as they can, and they cook them in various ways. And it's not grass-fed beef, it's not corn-fed beef, it's fern-fed beef.
Fern-fed
beef. And so evidently,
I would imagine that's quite a delicate flavor.
So I mean, evidently it's very interesting, and the locals really know what to do with it. So we're going to go learn and see how they do that. So. In the late 1700s, I believe it was the king of
Kamehameha
of Australia gifted the king of Hawaii these bulls and a couple cows, and they've since developed into a large herd in the last hundreds of years, and now it's a nuisance. And they're feral and they're wild, and they try to manage the population, and so it's a great storyline for Dead Meat. So
is that on the Big Island? Or
yeah.
Okay.
The Big Island,
yes,
Kona.
Yeah. So it's probably a fairly high elevation hunt.
Yeah, I just got the paperwork. We're actually leaving next week, and it looks like we'll be hunting around 7,500 to 8,000 feet.
Well, and they've been getting, as we talk, they've been getting snowstorms.
Snow, yeah.
And the one island I've been to in Hawaii was the Big Island. It's a fascinating place, but I think it'd be really cool to go hunt cows. We just hope that they would run away from you and wouldn't stand there and look at you like some of our domestic cows.
Exactly. We'll have to see. It's going to take a big weapon to kill a bull.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Well, we really appreciate your time, Brooks, here today. If anybody has not heard of or does not have Camp Chef materials, what would be the one thing to start your addiction to Camp Chef
Oh,
gear?
wow. Well, I'd like to say a pellet grill, but that's going to be a higher priced item. We do have some more cost-effective ones. Our Pursuit portable one I think that's one item to have on the back patio. But I would say probably the 2-burner stove. As much as I'd like you to start with the pellet grill, which I wouldn't be, the 2-burner stove is probably going to be the most effective and efficient way for you to enjoy hunt camp, even a little more.
Very good.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Where can they get information about Camp Chef?
I go to campchef.com. That's campchef.com. There's all kinds of recipes and tips and tricks. And
some videos, too.
Some videos there. There's product line you can look through and see, and then follow us on social media. I mean, we're on all kinds of social avenues as far as Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and
Outstanding.
all the good things.
Well, thanks for joining us here at the 2019 Hunt Expo, and we appreciate it. We love your product, and hope you have a good time down in Hawaii.
Yeah, thanks for having
Brooks,
me.
let us know how that goes. We look forward to watching the show, and
we'll cook some fern-fed ribeyes.
There you go.
Fern-fed. I'm interested to hear how fern-fed. Until next time, this is Jody Stemler.
And I'm Steve Belinda. Thanks for listening, and thank you for talking mule deer.
Thanks for talking mule deer with Steve Belinda and Jody Stemler. The Mule Deer Foundation is the only conservation group in North America dedicated to restoring, improving, and protecting mule deer and black-tailed deer and their habitat. MDF is a strong voice for hunters in access, wildlife management, and conservation policy issues. To find out more, visit www.muledeer.org and stay tuned for the next episode of Talkin' Mule Deer.